Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. It's Sunday, the 4th of June, 2023. How about that intro? My sister sent that to me this morning, just kind of a surprise. Very cool. So thank you to her for bringing us another interesting, I don't want to say interesting, it's a really cool intro, but we're keeping the intros interesting instead of playing the same one over and over again. So shout out to her for keeping it interesting. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, guys. Sometimes on the weekends I have time to film, and when I do, well, I guess we're not filming, we're live. But when I do, well, I make the most out of it as best I can, and so there's so much for me to pick from on what I wanted to do today. I thought I'd start with a viewer's contribution. So in the chat room, there's a gentleman named Gary Tatum, and Gary's joined us, in the chat room countless times before. And Gary recently upgraded his system to a Z690 UDAX DDR4, apparently. And he asked me if I would like his old Z390 motherboard and i9 9900K CPU. And I, yeah, we'll use it in something, sure. And so he sent that along, very generously, sent that along, paid for the shipping and the packing. It was all packed really well. And I thought we'd take a look at it today, make sure it works, and just kind of take a look at what we've got. Kind of had me fooled because I thought it was a Z690 motherboard at first glance, because the motherboard fits perfectly in this box. I mean, it fits exactly like the Z690 would have fit in this box. So it didn't occur to me to even look at the board. And I got a million things going on. I can't remember what he told me in an email, and there was no letter. Sometimes people, when they send stuff, they enclose a letter about, what's in the box and what the backstory is. If they send it an email that I read 2 weeks before they sent it, it's gone. All I remember is he's upgraded something, and he said this board has served him really well. And I have to say, I still run 9th generation Intel chips, as do many of my customers, and they're not looking, nor will they need to look for an upgrade for those. They're very respectable powerhouses even today. It's only about 3 years ago those were made. So they've got another 5 years of life ahead of them, at least. Because when we're talking about the high end, like in this case, the 9900K or even the 9700K, you can get another 2 years out of those on top of the 8-year build. When you get up to the tippy top like that, the flagship chips, those chips add another 2 years. So you could go a total of 10 years on this board, I've no doubt. And you could probably go 12 or 14 years on it if you really had to. But, this board is going to be Windows 11 compatible, all of the other stuff. And I thought, let's just take a look at what Gary sent us here. And of course, say a shout out and a thank you to Gary for his supporting of the channel. And I see DJ Big Red in the chat room there with $4.99 in the super chat. He says, "Happy Sunday. I'm here to learn. Gary is awesome." Oh, he knows all the right things to say. Flattery will get you everywhere. So let's get to work, shall we? Thank you, everybody in the chat, for hanging out with me this Sunday. Hope you're having a good Sunday, no matter where you're watching in the world. And this board is hefty. This is the Z390 Aorus Master. So this is more on the higher end of motherboards. And again, why Gary would replace this and upgrade it so young in its life cycle, it's still a very, very respectable motherboard. In fact, this board is probably better than 85% of you watching, at least what you're using to watch this stream. This board is probably newer, faster, and better than what you're using. So I'm surprised he's given it up so early, but perhaps he has needs for more power or just strong desires. But either way, we benefit from it. So in the box, we've got Velcro zip ties. We've got some case screws that I think Gary should have held on to. SATA cables. Wi-Fi antennas. It says Wi-Fi? Oh yeah, this has Wi-Fi. All right. Temperature sensors, an M.2 add-in card, Yeah, it seems complete to me. No instructions, but we don't read those anyway, so you keep those. We'll check it, make sure it's got the latest BIOS. I think oh, there's an M.2 screw. I think the latest BIOS on this was 2 years ago, so it probably has the latest BIOS on it. There's some concern about gigabyte BIOSes that, see, Dr. Bill posted a link, that have a security issue where they're not verifying the legitimacy of a BIOS update. It's just kind of letting it in. And while nobody has ever been exploited by this, it's never been anything anybody's ever been affected by. The problem is that you potentially could. So there's a lot of the sky is falling happening right now around the internet. And while these concerns are legitimate, there is nothing pending. There is no doom awaiting you. And while I would strongly encourage you to look for a new BIOS on a gigabyte motherboard, I don't think it's something you have to do right this second. You can relax. They're not going to come out with all BIOS updates to all boards all overnight. Just something to keep an eye out, and if you happen to see it, you should put it in, just like any other BIOS update. But again, nobody's ever been hacked by this. There is no threat that exists. That could change, and obviously you want to be proactive about this rather than reactive. However, there is no fire to put out. So it's great when you want to fireproof stuff because you think a fire is coming, but that fire may never come. So do what you need to do, but understand the difference between fear-mongering, concern, legitimate concern, which is different from fear-mongering, and then appropriate action that you would take for you. Pretty embarrassing for Gigabyte. Last month, it was pretty embarrassing for ASUS. I think we're all just taking turns. It's just tech. It's just tech. If we were responding to a threat, my tone would be very different. It's no different than when they mentioned the exploit that existed in Intel chips for the last 10 years, and everybody freaked out, and nobody ever got affected by that, ever, never, not once. But yet people screamed bloody murder as though somebody stole their puppies. The internet is a strange place. People like to be outraged. I'm not going to excuse this. I'm not going to say what Gigabyte did is okay. I'm glad it's been exposed, and I'm glad they're dealing with it. Other than that, if anything else happens, I'll let you know. What's happening in the chat room today? Welcome in, everybody. Dr. Bill contributes $5. He says, hello, Carrie, and thank you. Right on, Dr. Bill. Thanks for sharing the information. I just want to make sure the information is conveyed with the proper amount of concern. It's not a 10. It's not a 1. When we're at a 5 or a 6. Deal with it accordingly. Lenny Cryos with $11 in Super Chat says, I'm watching you, but not in a creepy way. Ugh. How come I don't get watched in a creepy way? It's always the girls. Verusian Kalustian contributes $2. Thank you. So thank you to DJ Big Red again, Verusian, Planet Cryos, and Dr. Bill for supporting the channel. And of course, the subject of today's video, this motherboard from viewer Gary Tatum. All right, so what we have here, tell you what, let's get this board out of the picture because it's a little confusing to think that that's the board I'm working on. It just was the board, the box he had, obviously, from the upgrade. And I'm glad he used the box. Fit that motherboard like a glove. All right, let's see if we can get the overhead camera out, see if I have better luck with it today than I did yesterday. I want to step around here for a minute and extend the arm. See if we can't get this bad boy. Peak performance over here. Let's see. Let's swing this out this way. And we'll swing this out. Whoa, there it goes. Swing it out like that, I think. Maybe like that. Move that over a little bit. All right. Just eyeballing that. Let's turn this on. Might have to get this thing raised up higher because it looks like yesterday's video, we just didn't quite get enough of a lens angle. Let's see what it looks like. Go here and click on that. It says nothing. Oh, I have the wrong camera. Probably that camera right there. That's probably the way to do it, Carrie. All right. Which way are we going? This way? Looks pretty good to me. All right, so the board. Yikes, I'm gonna push it off the table if I'm not careful. We've got an i9 9900K with a little thermal compound residue there we'll clean up. We've got an M.2 slot here, and here, and here. And let's see, we need to put an M.2 drive in here, slap some DDR4 in here. We'll get this cleaned up. I think Scythe Mugen 5 will look pretty good up there. Arthur Dickens with a $5 super chat says, thank you for your content. Hey, thanks for supporting the channel, Arthur. Appreciate you, my friend. Let's start with cleaning this. We'll get the old 99% isopropyl alcohol out. More alcohol content, the better. Thomas Tidwell with $22 super chat. Thank you, Thomas. He says, from an old tech, techs gravitate to you. I hope so. I would appreciate that. Peter Laycock contributes 20 pounds, joining us from Scotland. Thank you, Buster. Thank you, Thomas. You guys rock. All right. Get out some Q-tips. And I'm going to get my glasses so I can see. And we're going to just get out this residue that's all around the edges and around the frame just because of my OCD. That actually isn't hurting anything. And doesn't bother me. I'm not complaining. For once. Yikes. A little smear. And probably going to go through a few of these Q-tips. It doesn't take a whole lot of thermal compound to, once it saturates the Q-tip, it'll just smear everywhere. Then you got a worse mess than what you start with. So changing out the Q-tips frequently when there's a bit of excess is going to be required. Otherwise, it will make a bigger mess. If you're trying to be conservative on the Q-tips, yeah, don't do that. That very quickly gets dirty. Q-tips are cheap. We barely use any of the alcohol on them, so take your time. Try to make it look like new if you take pride in what you do. And if you don't, well, don't worry about it. Just thermal paste over the top of it. It'll be fine. This is just for us professionals who care. And I'm not implying, I've just realized, I'm not implying that Gary wasn't being professional. I don't want anything to be misinterpreted. I appreciate the thoughtfulness. He certainly did not have to share this with us. And if Gary said, I'll send it to you if you clean it up, I would have taken that deal. In fact, apparently I did. But I'm okay with it. I'm very, very good with this. All right. Kind of like buying a used car from, even better, someone offers you to give you their car, but it's not been cleaned. Would you take that car? Hell yeah. Wow, there's a lot coming up off of this. See, it's starting to smear on the corner. I really don't want to take the CPU out of the socket because of the opportunity for damage. And while I could certainly clean the edges of the frame a little better right in this area by taking the CPU out, those areas aren't seen by anybody, so who cares? You know what I mean? They don't, not only are they not seen by anybody, but even more than that, they don't have any impact on cooling. We just want to make sure the top of the heat spreader is nice and clean. And the edges too. And if we can get the frame while we're at it, well, we're going to go ahead and do that too. We're getting there. I think one more Q-tip ought to be overkill. So let's do that. Oh, excuse me. The air conditioner's on and the air is really dry in here. I think I'd be used to that by now, huh? The edges of that frame as well. Now, if you're going to try and get up every last bit so that Q-tip comes up clean, you're going to be here for a long time. And remember, we're just going to throw a thermal compound right back on top of it. So no matter how clean we get it, it's just temporary. I just really wanted the excess off the edges. And it wouldn't really have any difference in cooling at all. If I would have just taken this out of the box and threw thermal compound on it, it would have been just fine. It wouldn't make a difference in the cooling. It's just a little pride issue that I deal with. Let's see. I'm going to need a cooler. So I'm going to step in the other room here and see what I have. Oh, here's a black Mugen 5. I think this ought to do. We use this in a build. I think Mitch and I used this for something where we needed a cooler temporarily, probably for the robot's foot, I'll bet. And then I've got all the parts in here that should be the right parts. We just might need to adjust the location of those screws. Yeah, I wish I could back this off more. Might have to do a maybe a GoPro, something that's got a wider field of view. So likely this is not going to fit a 9900K. Look at the back of the board, how it's got this protection on the back of it. Yeah, we're gonna have to move these screws, which is no big deal. Just slide the cap off. This, move the screw towards the inner part. Put the cap back on. So cap off, move the screw to the inside, cap back on. That's all we should have to do all the way around here, I think. Last one here. Up, down into the next socket over towards the center. And it shouldn't matter if we put it on this way or this way. You'll see it's got a notch cut out on each side, so that should be happy right back here like this. Like a glove. See the little notch that's cut out right there? So there's one on this side, so if we flipped it around, even the two holes, so that the screws that hold in the CPU socket, there's a screw, and there's two more. So if we flip this the other way, these holes go up here and that notch goes down there. You can't get it wrong. It's one of the benefits of a good third-party cooler. Your install is easier. Oh, you know what? I don't think I have the brackets anymore. Uh-oh. I only have the socket 1700 brackets. What did I do? What have I done? Did I not save? Shame on me. I might have reserved this cooler just for socket 1700 so I didn't have to store all the parts. Hmm. There is a peel on the shield cover. Is there? Oh, I think he's right. Look at that. Just like new. See, when people leave the plastic on, when they don't take the plastic off of their stuff, it makes it super nice for the next guy who gets your stuff. So thank you. Is there one here too? I think there's one here. Got one here. Look at that. Good eye. Good catch. All right, let me think about this for a minute. Do I want to... Do I have the standoffs? Not the standoffs. Do I have the support brackets from another Mugen that I can steal from? I mean, borrow from. Well, you know what? I think they set that one up at socket 17 as well. I mean, socket 17. Ah. Carry. I just thought, you know, when am I ever going to build backwards? You know, why do I need to save these brackets? I'm not building anything backwards. Hmm. You know what? Now that I think about it, maybe I will save that cooler. I bought a used Mugen 5 Revision B, because this is Revision C, and I should save Revision C for socket 1700. I really should. Since all this is used, I'm going to just fill it with a bunch of used parts. I think that's the way to do it. And let's just save this one. Yeah, let's save it for a socket 1700. Because chances are the next build I do is going to be socket 1700. So I'm going to put these screws back the way they were. And we'll just keep this ready to install on a 12th or 13th or later. Potentially. Back in the bag. It's live. What are you going to do? You know? What are you going to do? All right. So let's go put this back where it was. A little premature stage call for this one. We'll call it up to stage on a later date on a more appropriate build. Okay. And we have a use for this Revision B, which we could never use on a socket 1700. It won't work. So these are a match made in heaven right here. Hopefully it's in good shape. Bamsy Brecker. Bamsy Breaker with the 119 Norwegian kroner. Hey, Carrie and chat, stumbled over your account a couple of weeks ago. I just want to say hey and great channel. Right on. Well, thank you, Bamsy. Joining us from Norway, apparently. I love it. It's cooler look. Oh, it's in good shape. Little fin damage there. Yikes. See if I can straighten those fins. Again, probably won't make any difference in the real world of cooling. It's mostly an aesthetic thing. Let's see. Let's see. What do I have in here that'll straighten those? Maybe a pair of pliers, needle nose pliers here. These are a little too wide. I'm going to need something skinnier. Probably could use even just a flat blade screwdriver to straighten these out. That's what happens when you buy Amazon used. And for all we know, the installer or the original purchaser probably didn't do this. It was probably done in shipping. But with the right tools, things become possible. Difficult things become easy. People think you have more talent than you really have. All because you got the right tools. Metal is very soft and pliable. Therefore, it would be pretty easy to completely bend it right off. So, don't want to rush through this too quickly. Usually, something like this could have happened when it was inspected and someone took this out of the box and then they shoved it back down in the box and caught the corner of it. That could have happened. I don't know. Doesn't really matter how it happened. Waste of brain energy to even think about it. What matters, where we are today, not what happened yesterday. Have some bent up here at the top as well. Now that top piece is pretty thick, but you know what? Very pliable. Huh? Look at that. Looks pretty good if you ask me, especially if you were kind of looking with a quick eye. You can kind of see a little wonkiness here and there, but fan's going to cover that anyway. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. How's the other side? Other side's pretty good. Hey, save me like 15 bucks on the cooler. Just saying. Just for a little straightening that doesn't really even have to be done. I just do it because of that's just who I am. All right, I'm going to take a break from this close-up camera. We're going to go back to camera 1 here. We'll come back to the close-up camera a little bit later. Just feel like that's a little too claustrophobic for me. I'm assuming you guys feel the same. So, work on camera 1. Andy Kane says hello. Carlos Hernandez says it looks better than new. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it's very acceptable. Much more acceptable. Hopefully we have all the parts in the bag. The old rad side screwdriver back in the revision B day. Brings back memories. We only have 2 sets of brackets. We use these AMD ones. And these long screws, they're for AMD. We're not using those. These pads are for an extra fan. We're not using an extra fan. These short standoffs are for an Intel 2000 socket. Not using those. So all of these parts we're not using can go back in the bag. Like so, including these rubber feet. We're not adding another fan. Okay, now we've got our thermal paste. Got our fan hangers. We're not adding an extra fan, so we only need 2 of these 4 fan hangers. So we'll take out 2. Then we'll put the other 2 away. So we've got our 4 standoffs. Our 4, actually those are spacers. These are standoffs. And then the 4 screws that hold down the 2 brackets, 2 screws for each bracket. That's everything. This is our back plate. Now you notice the back plate has 2 holes cut out only on one side. So they intend that to be installed one way only. And if I recall, and it's been a while, as I recall, we used the middle hole. There's 3 holes on each leg here. Memory serves correctly. Think about this. If memory serves, these plastic stand spacers, these are used on AMDs on revision B. It's changed over time and it all starts to get blurry. Don't think we use the spacers on this. I've been so spoiled where the back plates are coming already with the screws through them. But in this case, we're going to go in from the opposite way on this bracket. This cooler was a little different. So with those 2 holes, they're going to line up with these 2 screws here on the socket. Then I don't have to worry about which hole to select. We just feed the standoff through and it's going to align with the right hole automatically. Now we don't want to tighten this too much. We just want to get it started just in case I do get it started in the wrong hole. Let's see. Oh, it's going to fall out, Carrie. Thanks. Yeah, it's going in the middle one, just as I remembered. Okay. And then we'll just go around and do all of these. This one in this corner is tight to get at because of all of this VRM stuff. When I do these 2 opposite corners like this, the benefit of that is that these 2 will automatically be aligned and I won't have to manually inspect if I've got it in the right place. And if I want to, I can bring that down a little bit more, but I don't want to over tighten. Still need a little bit of wiggle room here to get these last 2 to align properly. That one started without a fuss. There we go. Easy peasy. Look at that. Almost like we've done this before in past life. It was only 3 years ago. I don't know why it seems like it was an eternity, but built a lot of computers, and I work on a lot of computers, upgrades and repairs, and AMDs and Intels, and generation this and generation that, and socket this and socket that, and chipset this and chipset that, and DDR this, DDR that, and M.2, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5, SLC, MLC, QLC, TLC. Was smoke starting to come out of my head? System overload. Now, as I recall, these brackets go the length of the release lever over the socket. So you don't put them on this way, even though they will go on that way. You want to put them on lengthwise in the same orientation as that lever, the way the lever moves up and down on this particular socket type. And then where these brackets have a raised middle, that's to lift them up above the capacitors. So you don't want to put it in upside down because then you run into the capacitors and squish them and bad things happen. And then finally, the inside edge, the way it's curved down like that, that's going to face each other. We'll just set those down to approximate what they're going to look like here. All those holes are for all different kinds of sockets. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different mounting positions, 4 on each side. And it'll be the same. It'll be symmetrical around the whole thing. So once you get the first one figured out, the rest should fall right into place. Not rocket science. Really should be wearing my glasses for this, you know? Really should. But somebody will get hurt. And then we'll all learn. At least one of us will. One who gets hurt. See, I've made my first mistake here. I need to go on the outside slot, but closer to the CPU instead of further away. So that there, and in theory, that one should now line up. Yep. So what did I mean by that? Well, I realized the way I've said it is kind of funny. Where's my... thing was over torqued. The way this bracket sits on here, there's an oblong hole here that the screw can go either towards this edge on the inside of this oblong hole or towards the outside. And when we move the screw to the inside, it pushes this further away from the CPU, but it's putting the screw, you know, from the way I'm looking at it, I'm putting the screw closer to the CPU, even though the screw isn't actually moving. The screw is going into the standoff. So it's kind of it's just the way I was looking at it, a little wonky there. But what we're doing is we're pushing that bracket so it's not so close to the socket. We're pushing it further from the socket, and that puts us towards the inside of that oblong hole, closest to the CPU. That makes sense? That far edge of that oblong hole is further away from the CPU. So to use that, we have to move the bracket closer to the CPU. Trying to make this clear, but needless to say, it's very simple. It's only going to go in one way. So you'll get there. If it's hard to understand, then it's because once you have it in front of you, it's only going to go in one way, and that's the only way you can do it. So don't worry about it. When you get there, you'll see. All right. Before I put the heatsink on, I guess I could put that M.2 drive in. Now, I bought one of these 970 Evo Pluses on sale because they were $130. And I think this was a returned item for like $91 or something like that. Might even have been more than that. And today, these are on Amazon for like $107. It's something ridiculously cheap. So pretty much for what I paid for this used, I probably, for just a couple of dollars more, I could have got a brand new one. But it's in perfect shape. It's got very little data written to it. I inspected them. They're fine. And you know what? I kind of like the idea that everything on this build is going to be used. Used cooler, used chip, used motherboard, used M.2, and some used RAM. Maybe we'll put it in a used case with a used power supply. Makes it cheap. And it doesn't affect its performance or reliability. It's going to run no differently than everything we're new. Won't run any hotter, won't run any cooler, won't run any slower, and its lifespan, despite having some life written on that, it's very minor, insignificant. Let's see. Sarge Tech says, don't forget all the Wi-Fi standards, Gary. You want to see my head explode, don't you, you masochist? Okay, we have an M.2 screw there. Now the thermal tape has been a little contaminated. Just kind of wipe it down with my finger. Yeah, good enough. Take that off of there. I suppose on this end, we could probably go over to the close-up, the overhead camera again for this work temporarily here. Let's see. So that's a little rough, but I've smoothed it out and all the little bits of debris I've wiped off. It's good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then here's our used 970 Evo Plus. We're going to pop that bad boy right in there. I appreciate that he's included the M.2 screw. And then our heat shield. Looks like we got a little schmutz on there. I'm going to clean that up. Kind of bugging me. I'll tell you what, let's put this back first. Now this screw has a shoulder on it. So if you look closely, this lip is very far from where it screws down, but that's what that shoulder is for. It's to cover that gap. That's a nice good fit right there. And I'm just kind of curious where the missing M.2 screw goes. Does it go under here? Oh, we're missing the standoff and the screw here, but he's left the tape on the thermal tape. He's left this tape, so that's good. But we would need a standoff to go in there in order to use that. On this one, what's going on under here? So on this one, we would use this hole for M.2, and this one screw will be used to hold the M.2 in place and the heatsink in this design here. And yeah, we have tape on there too. Very good. Very good. Appreciate that. So I just need the standoff. Now I'm curious, was that in the box and I didn't see it? Let me take another look in the box. Because we had the M.2 screw. Yes, there is a standoff. Hallelujah, we have the standoff. And we have the screw. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, that's cool. I mean, we may never use it, but, you know, that's not the point. What if we want to use it? So let's put those away where they belong, which is not in the box, in my opinion. They should go on the board. Yes, Gary's correct. Gary said it should be in the box. You are correct, sir. It's exactly right. You know what? I appreciate a fellow individual who puts stuff away that they don't need today, but know they might need it in the future. And even though it didn't really benefit him, it benefited me. And this board, I don't know what we're going to do with it, but it's going to benefit somebody at some point. That much I know. and all that. Being thoughtful. Right on. So what I'm going to do is take that screw, put it into the standoff right there where it belongs, and now we'll never have to look for it ever again. We need it, it'll be where it needs to be. Now I'm seeing a lot of dust on this board. I think I'm going to go ahead and blow the dust off of it right now. So let me grab my air duster, which I was charging in the other room. Oh, look, the charging light is off. Perfect timing. Exactly what I need right here. All right, this might get loud. Let's just blow the dust off. Oh, let me get this out of here. Looks good. Looking good. All right. Moving right along. See, I'm done with this and this. Get that out of the way. Set that over there. What's this? Garbage? That. Leftover. It's leftover. Documentation. Yeah, we need that. Oh, and this box. Box can go over there. Okay. All right. Let's see. Did I trust this thermal compound? How old is this? I don't know. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, it's still liquidy. It's not dry. I'm good with it. Jason said the noise suppression's working. You guys didn't hear the blower at all? Hey, that's cool. Probably wouldn't hear it over my air conditioner anyway. Let's see here. Are you ready for your exam? Oh, I might have put a bit much on there, to be honest, but that's why I have multiple fingers. In case you were wondering. Is that guy have so many fingers? Oh, that's to clean up extra thermal compound. Oh, yeah. Of course. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. Now, the question is the bottom of this cooler clean enough for us? No, I'm going to grab some Q-tips and rubbing alcohol, and we're going to clean that just because, even though it probably won't make much of a difference in the real world. I don't know. I'm in a mood today. What can I tell you? Little overkill. Probably anything involving the Q-tip and the rubbing alcohol isn't really making much difference in the real world as far as our effectiveness of cooling, unless we're overclocking and pushing boundaries to record limits and, bleeding edge, then of course every little bit counts. But for normal operation, this probably doesn't make one iota of noticeable difference in cooling temperature, operating temperature, maximum temperature, none of it. Just so you know. And then if you decide you want to do needless work like I just did, well, nobody's stopping you. It's not illegal. I'm not paying you by the hour. Take your time. Now we should be able to just simply place the cooler down on top with the screw that sticks out being towards the ram. Center that right over like so, and use the enclosed screwdriver. Go in through that top hole and just start that side. Not too far, just start it. Then we'll come over to the other side. Now that we have both sides started, now we can tighten them down. Try and tighten them down evenly. We're going to switch from side to side here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the main camera because at this point, not much to see at that angle. So we'll turn this off and move it back out of the way. We'll get back to that later. That is tight. These come to a dead stop. So if you're wondering, how do you know how tight to make them? They just stop turning. You can't take them any further. Now, they're not going to come down. They're not going to come down, and this piece is not going to meet the other piece, just in case you were wondering about that. What we're doing is we're establishing a certain amount of Newton meters of pressure or tension down onto the top of that CPU heat spreader, or the CPU itself. So when you see somebody, they're like, oh, I'm going to try this cooler and I'm just going to set it on top. Without the proper amount of pressure, that cooler is not working effectively. If you see somebody go, let me show you how thermal compound spreads, and they take a piece of glass and they push down on it with their fingers, that's not how it works. First of all, glass is a very porous material. That's problem number one. Problem number two is when you push down with your fingers because you want to make a demonstration of how thermal compound spreads, that's not how it works. That's a completely wrong. Number one, we're not using glass as a material. Number two, we're not pressing it down with our fingers where there's uneven pressure. So like you're only going to be able to hold two sides of the glass. You know what I mean? You can't do all four sides evenly with the flat amount of pressure being pushed down straight onto the CPU. But boy, it's effective in getting people convinced. It's sort of like me saying, have you ever noticed that every race car that wins a race has stickers on it? You've never seen a car without stickers on it win the Indy 500 or any of the NASCAR events. So therefore, I conclude, if you want to win a race, your car must have stickers on it. Now, I think most people would listen to that and go, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Welcome to my world. When I see somebody take a piece of glass and push down on thermal compound, cars don't win races if they don't have stickers on them. That's the logic we're using, rather than, I don't know, understanding thermodynamics and perhaps in academia and college. But don't let that get in the way of believing whatever you want to believe, whatever fits your agenda, man. It's frustrating sometimes to be in this field because people will take what they think is evidence and they'll run with it and they'll tell everybody they know and then they'll propagate it. And then I'm over here thinking, oh, I fixed that, you know, that's done. And then it just keeps resurfacing and resurfacing and it won't die. To what end? Why? I don't know. I don't know why people do it. But comes with the job. So lucky me. Hey, which of those running shoes is the fastest? Sorry, what? I want to know which pair of running shoes you have here is the fastest pair of shoes. You see, I'm entering a race. I'm going to be in a marathon, and I want to come in first. New Balance, Nike, Converse, Hoka. Which one of those would you say would be most likely to have me win that race? I'm sorry, sir, you're the one that's going to be doing the running? Yeah, that's right. I think you're going to need more than a pair of shoes. Have you considered a car? Oh, I guess we can't have that conversation. That would be rude, wouldn't it? Let me show you the best pair of shoes we have that you can waste your money on, since you don't have any skill in running. In the meantime, some guy in flip-flops just walked faster past you. But hey, stay focused on buying the best running shoes. That's going to get you the race. Am I getting bitter and jaded? No, same as always. Make sure I got the best running shoes on. We want to get the best ones now. Have you thought about being a better runner? No, when I can just buy better shoes. What am I, stupid? Let's see, we want that coming out that side. What am I wearing? I am wearing the most expensive running shoes on the market. They're the best ones, and that's why I always get the places first, even though I'm driving. All right, let's see. This is how people are with their computers. What video card's the best? What CPU is the best? What cooler is the best? What are you using your computer for, man? I run benchmarks. Okay, and when the benchmarks are done, then what do? I buy better parts. Then I run the benchmarks again. Okay. It's your money. I'm not talking about Gary. I don't want anybody implying that I'm in, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about people on the internet in general, at least in the enthusiast community. So emotional and has no logic to it at all. They're just being emotional, chasing benchmark numbers, and it's funny to me because never in the history of my 30 plus years in business has that ever been a service call. Can you help me get better benchmark numbers so I can see this benchmark give me higher numbers like my friends on Reddit? It's $125 an hour, my friend. All right, come on over. When can you get here? That phone call has never happened. I don't think it ever will. It's just people screwing around, nothing better to do. And then people are like, oh, I saw a video where a guy used this thing. I need that thing too, right? Oh my God. I'm a terrible businessman. I should be like, yeah, you absolutely do. That'll be $350 plus labor. Okay. I'm too honest. I say, to my own detriment, to my own financial detriment, try to correct people and say, you don't need that. It's a complete waste of money for you. I don't need the fastest running shoes. Are you running? Sometimes. Where are you running? Out to the car. It's hot outside. Yeah, that'll make you get to the car 2 seconds faster if you buy this $400 pair of shoes. How many would you like? What size are you? Well, I saw a video where a guy ran a New York marathon, and he runs marathons every 2 weeks around the country, and he has these shoes. Yeah, because he's a marathon runner. A marathon runner? No. Are you planning to be a marathon runner? Maybe. Enjoy your content. Watching these people do this crazy stuff and then thinking, oh, I need to do that too. No, you don't. All right. RAM. Let's put the RAM in here. Let's see. I think we're going to go in this socket here. I think this is good RAM. We'll find out. And this socket over here. I didn't hear that side click in, so I'm doing it again. It's just not going to click. That side does. Oh, there it goes. Okay. All right. That board is all prepped. Prep. Check my phone. Am I missing anything? No. I am not missing anything. All right. 2 o'clock, right on the nose. Look at me getting work done in an hour. You can see it's possible. I can do it and talk at the same time. Not often, but it depends if I have the right shoes on. Okay, let's see. I need a power supply. We'll just use this ET750 from last time. Since it's on top of the pile, I don't want to dig through the pile. I don't have better gloves. All right. And let's see. This also uses two 8-pin CPU power connectors, although the second one is optional and it's mainly for overclocking to provide extra power that might be needed if you're going to try and get your CPU to work beyond its engineered specifications and push it harder. Consumes more power, generates more heat. You need more power delivery to keep the system from crashing. You need more expensive cooling, keep the system from overheating. And in exchange, you might get 12 or 15% improvement on what's already probably faster than what you can possibly use anyway, generally speaking, but you know, you do you. Keyboard and a mouse. What did I do with that? Oh, over here. I always like to help people solve problems. So if somebody's got a unique use for their computer that requires a particular set of resources, whether that, is that Liam Neeson? I have a particular set of resources. In other words, the people in, you know, in a field that use their computer for actually they don't have to be in a field, they could even be a hobbyist, but even as a hobbyist, they're not a hobbyist of all things, they're a hobbyist of maybe a particular subject matter. So maybe they're encoding movies, old movies on VHS tapes they can't get, and so they need a lot of processing power for video encoding to get through their library. Or maybe they've got shoe boxes full of old camera slides, photo slides, and they want to scan those in a scanner, and they need processing power and a lot of storage and fast storage to get those scanned in the least painful way possible because they've got a closet full of them. These are real world examples. Might be a photographer and you need a lot of storage space to store your photos, and you might need a lot of processing power and RAM to edit your photos depending on the level of editing that you're doing. And so what I like to do is consult with the customer and figure out what is it you use your computer for, so we can determine how to best spend the money within whatever budget you have to get you the system that's best for you. Every once in a while, I run into a customer who's disappointed the system is too cheap. And we can do that for $850. Really? Yeah. Well, I mean, is that the best? For you, it is. But do they sell something better? Yes, but it wouldn't benefit you. In other words, you would benefit from an i5 and 16 gigs of RAM and a 2 terabyte budget drive. If I sold you an i9 and 32 gigs of RAM and a 4 terabyte drive, that's a high-speed drive, we could double the price, but it won't make any difference to you. It's still going to run exactly the same. So is that what you want me to build? So you're saying the $850 system is the same as the $1,600 system for me? Yes. Yes, I am. Yeah, you could buy 2 systems. Wouldn't you rather have 2? Well, I just want to make sure you're not cutting any corners. I'm not selling you less than you need, and I'm not selling you more than you need. So unless your needs change, this is the system that's going to last you the next, 5 to 8 years, easy. And that's a conversation I've had to have on more than one occasion where, are you sure you're not spending enough money? I mean, I can if you want me to, but why? You're going to introduce louder fan noise because those higher end systems run hotter. The cost of electricity to run that system is more. And if you've got an office with multiple computers that's all generating heat, And you're going to have to counter that with air conditioning, and that means more electricity again. It doesn't matter to me. Whether I build a $1,600 computer or an $800 computer, it's the same amount of work. So sometimes customers, they're not used to not being sold. Aren't you supposed to nickel and dime me and upsell me? Probably. It's not what I would want done to me, so I don't do that to other people. And if you're skeptical and you don't think that $850 system is going to work for you, I will buy it back from you and we'll put that $850 towards a credit to a $1,600 system or whatever you want. How's that sound? And never, not once, have they ever gotten the computer and said, you know what, this isn't good enough for me. Let me get that $1,600 one. Because I tell people, this is a good machine. I'll have no problem reselling it. I don't mind buying it back from you. Keep it for 30 days. If it doesn't satisfy you and you want to spend more money, I'll take it back, give you full credit back to it, and put it towards the double priced system if that's what you want to do. I'm happy to do it. It makes no difference to me one way or the other. I'm selling computers anyway, so yeah, I've made that offer at least 3 times in the past. Never, not once they receive the system, do they have any doubts. They're like, oh, this is great. It's perfect. It's quiet. Yeah, it's cheap. Didn't have to spend as much as I thought I needed to. Everybody's happy, but boy, are they skeptical. Let's see, we need an HDMI cable here. And we need a power plug. So yeah, what I try and do is figure out how to solve problems for people. So some people throw money at problems. They're like, well, I'll just buy the most expensive thing. I'll just buy the best thing. But if you're not really utilizing 20% of what it's doing, and you never will, then you've wasted 80% of your money, not to mention the added costs of maintenance and operation. So yeah, that's why I do what I do. But hey, which shoes did you say were the ones that I'm going to run faster in? Which are the best shoes? I want the best haircut. Which one's the best? Okay, this on? It is now. All right, we're going to see if the magic smoke comes out. Let's find out. Let's find out. We're going to turn off the close-up camera. And we'll take camera 1 and we'll stick it in a corner where I belong. In the corner with you. There I go. Shove that off to the side. And power. Red light comes on. Fan is spinning even though it's facing me and not you. Starts and then it shuts down as it's training the memory. That's all normal. It shut down again. It starts up again. Again, all normal. We've got a diagnostic LED running through a bunch of hexadecimal code, which is completely useless to most people, even to most techs. Even when that tells you there's a problem, it's often wrong. It's a big waste of time. And people that rely on these, they're not real techs in my book. We didn't have that stuff in the 80s, and we fixed stuff just fine. And a lot of times this will tell you whatever the error is, that's the result of what's causing the problem. So in other words, if we're having a problem getting the CPU to initialize properly, it shows up as a RAM error because it didn't get to the RAM. So now you're sitting there changing out RAM modules because you read the code and you read the book, and it's not making any difference. And all you did is just waste time. So, but don't let me stop you if you want to believe that. Because if that knows what's wrong, if that was accurate, I wouldn't need a job. Just let that do it. If it knows what's wrong, then why doesn't it fix itself? That's all I'm saying. Every once in a while, you can get lucky and the code helps. But for me, it's like 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4 times they're right. So I just stopped even trying. I've given up on them. Most of the time, they're wrong, in my experience. And I much prefer the skill level of using my brain, figuring it out as a human. I want a machine that's not working to tell me why it's not working. I don't trust a machine that's not working to give me any answers that are correct. But maybe that's because I'm old school from the 80s and have a distrust of technology. I also have seen it crash a lot. So we keep evolving the technology. It's come a long way since the 80s, and it's still not trustworthy or reliable like it should be. Let's see. I want my Windows 10. Yeah, we'll do Windows 10. And what's the system doing? It says what? Nothing. I got a black screen. Nothing's going on. That could be because of the M.2 drive in there. I don't know. Let me hit reset. Reset's working. Did we get a post? Yeah, there's our post. I hit delete. Oh, perfect. I like that. That looks good. Let me get rid of camera one so we can all see this together. We'll see what our BIOS version is and all of that information. So we're going to go, oh, wrong mouse. I got to go full screen on my side so I can see it the way you guys at home see it. And let's see, favorites, no. Tweaker, no. Settings, no. System info, that's what I want. BIOS F11. I think that is the latest BIOS. Looked at it last night online. I want to say F11 is the latest. Date is wrong, but I don't care. System time is also wrong, but I don't care because Windows is going to fix all that for us. Boot options. You know what? Let's just load the defaults because we don't know what Gary had this set to and what his preferences were. And then we're going to save and exit. And then I'm going to plug in the Windows 10 installation media into a USB port here in the back. Do just fine right there. And then when the system posts again, it should hopefully start at that flash drive. So now the system has shut down and restarted itself as the BIOS has reset. That's all normal. And then I'm going to hit, what is it, F12, I think. And we're going to load, F12 gave me boot failure detected. Oh, okay, well, let's enter the BIOS again and let's go to, oh, see, now we're in easy mode. Let's go to advanced and then let's go to boot. Let's go to boot option number 2. No, boot option number 3 is the one I want, UEFI. That one. Those are priorities. Where's my override? Didn't give me an override? How do I want to do this? Tell you what, I'm going to be lazy about it. I'm going to just say, make that my first bootable device. It just means after our first boot of Windows installing, I'm going to have to change it back to SanDisk. F10, yes. Here we go. Maybe. Is it doing anything? Seems to be stuck. I could have an incompatibility or a bad RAM module here, by the way. I'm assuming this RAM is good, but you know what they say about that. This seems to have locked up on me. So I'm going to hit the power button on this power supply. We're going to power this back on. And I don't know if it would have saved that BIOS or what's happening there. Take a look. See if we have better luck. It's booting up. I'm getting the diagnostic LED cycling through. And now it's shut down and it's booting up again. So it seems like it's having an issue training the RAM. That's might be an informational thing for me to consider on how I proceed. but also give it patience, let it work it through. So it's rebooting again and cycling back through those diagnostic codes and going further than it did the first time. It's a very long boot up process here as it's training. And let's see. Boy, it almost seems like it's stuck in a loop. We're stuck on C1 right now on our diagnostic LED. And it shut off again. And it's turning itself back on. This is a normal memory training routine, so I'm not too concerned yet. So it immediately turned on and back off, which usually indicates it's saving a setting. Now it's turned itself back on again to try and apply that new setting to see if the boot is more successful at whatever its stumbling point is. That's at least how I'm interpreting these codes. If I go over to camera 1, and with my luck, I'll do it too late, but not camera 1. Let's go to the close-up camera. Maybe you'll get to be able to see this happening while it's happening. Let's see. So you'll see the diagnostic LED here. Fan is starting to spin up. Now, this shouldn't be happening as often as it is. It does absolutely seem to be stuck on something. And my guess is it's something with the RAM. And what we can do is we can take this. Am I on the right one? No, I'm not on the right. We can take close-up camera and we can put it in the corner just to see if we're going to get a boot screen. And it shut off again. So the fact that it's cycled about a half dozen times now is pretty much all I need to know. I don't think it's going to correct this on its own. So what I've done is I've turned the power supply off. I'm going to take this RAM out of here and we're going to try some different RAM. I suspect this is causing us some grief. Sometimes it's not that you have bad RAM, but it could be just incompatible RAM. They may not like each other. So don't give up on your RAM necessarily if it's brand new and you just tried it out. Now I have some Corsair Vengeance RAM sitting here. And I can't remember if this RAM was good either. I kind of have a stack of unknown status of RAM here. This is Old Faithful. Let's see if we have any better luck. Back to the power supply on, back to the switch being on here. New power light on the switch. Codes are happening over here. Let's see if we get to a post screen this time. Machine just shut off again. It's turning back on. Again, since I switched the RAM, that's perfectly acceptable. We got some hard drive activity light. We've got an error on the screen this time. So it looks like I've called that one correctly. Now, if you want to look up what this code is, or the one it was freezing on before and restarting, let me know if it tells you it's bad RAM. I'd say it's a 20-25% chance it'll say that. 75 or 80% chance it's going to tell you it's something else entirely. And that's why I don't trust those things. Let's see, I want to go to the BIOS, so we'll turn off the close-up camera for a second here. Let's see, we'll turn off the close-up camera. There we go. I got to go full screen over here so I can see what's happening. BIOS has been reset. Please reconfirm your BIOS setup items if needed. Okay. All right, that's kind of bossy. We'll load the optimized defaults. Enter. And let's see, boot menus F12, SanDisk, UEFI SanDisk is what I want right there. And we're loading off the Windows 10 media installation now. And let's see, next here, install. RAM is always the problem. Why can't RAM manufacturers sort this out? It's not on the RAM manufacturers, it's on the motherboard manufacturers. So the motherboard manufacturers are doing what the CPU manufacturers tell them to, and everybody's supposed to be complying with JEDEC or JEDEC standards in RAM. And of course, for various reasons, I think there's a lack of appreciation of how complex it is in this world of PC to just buy any of a million different components and plug it in and think it's just going to work. If you want that world, it exists. It's called Apple. You'll have no freedom of choice, no freedom of price, but when you plug it in, it will work and you won't have to deal with this. So as we have multiple different generations of chips and multiple different generations, rather manufacturers of CPUs, both AMD and Intel, combined with thousands of manufacturers, literally, of RAM, all running at different performance standards regarding latency, regarding frequency, whether it's DDR, DDR2, DDR3, DDR4, DDR5, whether it's high performance RAM, budget RAM. I mean, the fact that it works as well as it does is really a testament to modern engineering. Could it be better? Of course, and it will get better. It's going to get more complicated too, as we continue to offer more and more choices. The latest choices should likely work better and be more compatible, but it may not work out that way. At the end of the day, the market drives the industry. So when people stop buying, the market will respond to figure out what they need to do to get people to start buying again. And around the wheel goes. It's all about answering to the shareholders and the profits of the company. That's all they care about. They don't care about whether or not you like it. If you like it and they're not making a profit, then they're the opposite. They don't want you to like it. They just want to make a profit, whatever that takes. So the best way, if you want to see a change, is don't give them your money. You vote with your dollar. Buy something else. If you want to wait till this technology is perfected, you'll probably live your life in full and be buried, and it still won't be perfected. They're still trying to perfect the car, for crying out loud. It's been out over 100 years. Cars today are very different from the cars of 20 years ago, let alone the cars of 40 or 60 or 80 years ago or 100 years ago. Just keeps evolving and getting better. And by better, I mean they're more reliable, they're more efficient, they're safer. Anti-lock brakes, power steering, air conditioning. Life is good. Try that in your Model T. What if people don't have a choice due to the monopoly of standards? People always have a choice. You are not forced to do business with any company. So your participation is voluntary. Nobody said you had to have a computer. Nobody said you have to have Windows. Nobody said you've got to deal with Intel or AMD. You don't have to. You choose to. Your choice is that you want something the way you want it. But unless you're running the business or you're an authority or you're somebody who has some industry influence, you'll either take what's offered or move along. And if you don't like that, come up with a better solution. But don't sit there and complain that you don't have a choice. You've had a choice this whole time. Make better choices. That's nonsense. Yep. That's a fast install. Everything's looking happy. We're forced to deal with corporations in order to secure shelter. We deal with corporations to survive. Easel. No, I disagree with that entirely. There's a large homeless population here in Phoenix and in Los Angeles in particular, of course, all over, but it's gotten pretty significant. Well over 1,000 people living rough in downtown Phoenix, and even more than that in downtown Los Angeles, San Francisco. They're not dealing with any of the corporations. I know people that live on boats. You don't have to. You just want to, you want what you want the way you want it. But unless you're in a position of authority, or unless you're motivated to make the change you want to see, you should be grateful you have the option of having a house. Elvis Presley's father built his house with his own 2 hands. Did you build your own house with your own 2 hands? And what about electricity? And what about water? Where are you getting that from? You going out and hunting your own food every day and starting a fire? Abraham Lincoln was left alone with his sister for months when his father went away to look for a new wife when his mother died. He and his sister were, I think, 10 years old, somewhere in there, and were left to fend for themselves in what was nothing more than a wooden shack with a dirt floor as their father went away for months with no communication and then came back with a new wife. And look what happened to him. He became Abraham Lincoln. He taught himself to read. He was a child left alone with his sister to fend for themselves, to figure out how to eat, when to go to bed. You want to go back to living like that? Nobody's stopping you. My phone beeps. It sounds like I got a package, so stand by for a second. All right, got my stuff from Amazon. That's good. I should be getting that Wi-Fi router from TP-Link. That Wi-Fi 7 is supposed to arrive today. Canceled the order with Amazon and just ordered it from Best Buy, and it's supposed to be out for delivery today. Let's see, let's go to camera 1 again. I'll just leave it up there, it's fine. Let's see. We're going to take out this flash drive here because I'm done with that. And we'll plug in internet here. Perfect. Let's see. HDMI input full screen for me so I can see. And we'll hit Windows Update and let it do its thing. Everything looks happy. Look at that. All thanks to Gary Tatum. We have a 9900K, it seems to be fully operational. I have a Star Wars flashback. Fully operational space station. Battle station, base station. Ah, I should know the script by heart. Shame on me. All right, well, we're waiting. Let me just take a look here and what's going on in the chat. Bob R wants to know if I'm going to put this in a case. So I was thinking about what case I would use for this. It's obviously got to be a full-size ATX case. And usually I don't put a system in a case unless I know it's going to a customer and I know what that customer wants. Does the customer want RGB? Do they want a glass panel? Do they want something business-like, like a 200R? So my plan on this one was to not put it in a case. It'll go into a stack of motherboards that remain bare but prepped, like this, with the RAM, the storage, the cooler, until such time as a home is found for them. And then based on where they're going to go, I'll ask, are you going to put a video card in this? If they say no, and they don't plan to do that, then there's no reason to put a 750 watt power supply and do all the cable management. If they are and they want to go RGB, I don't want to take it all back apart and have to completely redo it again. So for that reason, I'm not going to put it into a case today. But if and when it should find a home, I'll have a consultation with its future owner to determine what their budget is and what sort of case is going to be most appropriate for their needs and their wishes. And then, of course, answering other questions to determine if they need what size power supply, whether it's going to be modular. Sometimes I ask if they need Wi-Fi, but this board already has Wi-Fi, so I don't need to ask that question. Sometimes I ask if they need a DVD or CD drive, Blu-ray drive. Most of the time they don't. And even if they did, they can still get them USB anyway, but sometimes they prefer them installed. And same with card readers, although it's less and less of that. But still an option on the table, but you have to get a case that can accommodate that if that's what they want. And it's also got to be able to fit within the budget that they want to spend. So a lot of information that we need to have before we put this in a case for those reasons. It'll remain bare as it is. And if a customer wants to make change to how much RAM we have or what size storage we have, because it's not in the case, it's super easy for me to just swap that out to something else. They want more RAM or less RAM, it's 2 seconds. Well, it's 20 seconds to pop the RAM out and replace it. They want a bigger drive, a smaller drive, or more drives. It's easier to get at it while it's out. I can make all those customizations really easy while it's out of the case. So for all of those reasons, it won't go in a case. Raj D wants to know, did I get his gift from Amazon? Let's take a look and see. Oh, it looks like something came in. Raj D sent an Amazon gift card of $50. Right on. Thank you. Thank you to Raj. Also, late last night, a gentleman in the UK named Rob Foster sent a generous contribution. He said, Gary, I'm an anonymous subscriber of yours for some time now, and I enjoy your content. I have to watch them after they're live, so I never get to chat. But I saw a recent show where you mentioned where you're struggling with spiraling costs, diminishing income, and I just wanted to show support and give a little back. Keep up the great work, and I hope this helps. Holy cow. It was like, that never is, it very rarely happens where people put their money where their mouth is, right? They want to keep the content coming, keep it from me just turning into a big advertisement, which is what all the big YouTube tech channels do, is they make big commercials. But that's awesome. I mean, so much. I thank you to Rob in the UK. And of course, thank you to Raj for the Amazon gift card, and for all of you that have given super chats or given in the past, and keeping me from having to knock on those doors to be pushing products at you that I don't want to do. So we're full steam ahead now. I think I'm good for content for the next 3 or 4 weeks. I'd say it's probably good for a month, depending on the frequency of how often I make the content. I know this coming week is going to be a very busy one for me. Got a few mini PCs to review. I've got some networking equipment to review. And that in and of itself is going to take me 2 weeks worth of just those two things. This Friday, we've got the Cube build. Mitch will be joining us for that, a very unique build. That'll be utilizing a 13500 CPU, not a K, same as we used on the live mixer machines. Those I still have to finish up and get to the customer. I think I'm going to keep the white one for myself, but I don't know why. Just built 2 of them, just because. Ben says, you're almost at 400,000 subs, Gary, which means you are a big tech channel yourself. I disagree, Ben. We're at 382,000, and we started the year at 378,000. We've only grown by 4,000 in the last 6 months. So at that rate, let's see, let's say it's 8,000 subscribers a year. and I'm at 480, so I need to get to 380, and I need to get to 4. So that should be about 2.5 more years before I get to 4. We're not that close. So unless something suddenly takes off and subscribers grow, it's fewer than 1,000 new subscribers a month. Last month, it was fewer than 400. But that's okay. It's not about the subscribers. It's not about the numbers. Well, that's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about it. I'm not chasing it. And I'm certainly not looking every day. What are my numbers today? It's just an interesting number I look at because it's there. I mean, I see my Bitcoin value is going up. We're at 27,000. Nobody's talking about how terrible Bitcoin is. Have you noticed? The banks have been collapsing and all the terrible cryptocurrency news, that's all stopped. They only talk about it when it's bad news. So that's at 27. If you bought it when it was at 17 or 19, you're already up 10 grand. Me, I bought it when it was in its 30s, so I'm still upside down, but I don't care. I'm not going to sell it. I'm just waiting and watching. Give it enough time. I mean, I was hoping it wouldn't take this much time. I was hoping that was going to be the money I was going to use to buy Studio C. And it still might be at this rate, you know, it might still be a few years away. But, you know, it's nice to have a little skin in the game. Just going to grab another Gatorade here while we're chatting and waiting for these updates. David Tracy says, I think the mini PC reviews will increase subscribers. Yeah, everybody thinks they know what increases subscribers, but the one thing I figured out is nobody has a clue. Not even the people at YouTube understand any of it. So you can have a good feeling all you want, but the reality is you're likely wrong. And do you know how I know? Because I have tried countless different techniques on this channel over the last 15 years. And the only thing I'm certain about is that there is no certainty to it. It's always changing, and what people want is very fickle. It's very of the moment. And while you could be very popular for a week or a month or even a year, your ability to sustain that popularity is extraordinarily unlikely. My popularity has never gotten that big, ever. And I'm okay with it, because it also, with the popularity comes harassment and scrutiny, and I have enough of that as it is. I've got my fill of harassment and scrutiny. And the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the harassment and scrutiny, the more frequent it becomes. There's my S880s that arrived from Amazon, and these are the 2 terabyte drives I'm going to put into those. I'm pointing at them like you can see them, into the 2 live mixer builds. Each one is going to get 1. The drives that I put in there were just placeholders so I could get the job done. And then I have another package here, which is what? Let's see. Since we're waiting, I'll just open my Christmas presents here and see what we got going on. But hey, you know, if suddenly everybody's interested in mini PCs and my channel gets popular because of that, I'm all for it. Just it's never ever happened, and I've heard this so many times before. It's just blah blah blah. That's all it is. I wish I could be successful on good feelings. Here's a Netgear 24-port gigabit switch. This is for an upcoming video I'm doing on networking and switches. And this was on sale. I didn't need it, but it was like 80 bucks. And I thought, you know, good price. Again, it's nice to have certain types of equipment for customer repairs. Something like this is something I would sell to a customer. I have a 24-port switch yesterday that I was repairing. That's a loaner. What's the difference? So a loaner is something I can slap around. It doesn't have to be flawless. It could be used. It could be in rough shape. And I can use it as a quick diagnostic. Let's say a customer calls and says, my internet's not working or whatever. I go over there and it looks like their switch isn't working. I go out to my trunk, I pull out this switch, and they could have a 5-port switch. They could have a 48-port switch for all I know, right? So I take the switch I got, plug it in, get them back online. If they need more ports than I have, then I say, well, can you suffer? Can you limp along? Can we just plug in what you need to have? Let's get you a new switch, but in the meantime, you're up and running. So here's what ends up happening. With some customers, because you got them up and running again, they don't prioritize getting the switch replaced. And because you gave them a loaner and it didn't cost them anything, it's no longer important to them to prioritize getting it replaced. Everything's working. So they'll get around to it. In days, turn into weeks, and turn into months. And you may never even hear from that customer, or that customer might close their doors and go out of business and didn't think to tell you. And your equipment that you loan them is in there, which now the landlord or the creditors have taken ownership of, and you can't have it back. At least not without providing evidence and going to court. It's not worth it. So a loaner piece of equipment, ideally, isn't better than what the customer had. So you got to keep the customer motivated to replace it. The other alternative is to always have new switches with me, which is not practical. I'm not going to carry around inventory in my car. And say to the customer, I can sell you a switch today, brand new in a package, solve this problem, give you an invoice, you pay me, and I leave, and we're done. So that's what this is for. So if I tell a customer, okay, the loaner switch is good to go, that buys you some time. If I never see the loaner switch again, I don't care. I mean, I care a little bit, but it's not like I put brand new product down. If the customer says, hey, can you provide us with a new switch? And I happen to have one back at the house, I'll say, yeah, you know what? How about if I come in on Tuesday and I'll get it swapped out for you after hours? We don't have to interrupt business. Make it as convenient as possible. I can get out of rush hour traffic. Everybody's happy. I collect my loaner back. I put the new switch in, but I don't make my customers have to buy from me. Customer might say, can you send me a link to something we can order on Amazon? Sure. When I get back to the house, I'll send you a link for what I recommend. And if you buy anything other than that, I can't guarantee it's going to solve your problem or create other problems. So, and then they might install it themselves, or they might say, okay, it arrived. Can you come out and install it for us? In either case, I expect to hear back from them when they're like, if I send them a link for a new switch, let's just say, and they're using my loaner, and there's no indication from them that they're paying me to install it. They've only asked me what to order. After about a week, if I haven't heard from them, I'll email them and say, hey, did you get that switch? And then usually they'll say, yeah, we got it installed. It's all great. And we're done with your loaner if you want to come get it. Or they say, yeah, we've been meaning to call you. The switch is here. We need you to come out and install it. And when I come out to install it, I'll come get my loaner. So either way, a lot of times I have to follow up with the customer and chase down my loaners. So when you're giving away a loaner, be prepared to never see it again. Because you never know. Things happen to people. They have health problems. They have financial problems. They're keeping secret. They're not telling people there's a problem with the company financially. And you could be in there a week before they're planning to close the doors, and there's no clue to you that they're planning to close the doors, except a couple weeks go by, you don't hear from them, you call them and the phone's disconnected, you drive to the office, there's a notice in the door they've been locked out for not paying the rent, and you're not getting your stuff back. This is business. Mark Gaines with a 20-pound contribution. Right on. Thank you, Mark. All right, so that was my other package from Amazon, my Netgear business router here, a 24-port gigabit unmanaged switch. Are there any YouTube millionaires? And if so, who are they? There's quite a few YouTube millionaires, people like Casey Neistat, people like Logan and Jake Paul, David Dobrik. I wouldn't be surprised if Lisa Koshy wasn't a YouTube millionaire. Mr. Beast, yeah, that's a good suggestion. I mean, there's a lot, but you have to keep in mind How many YouTube channels have over 1 million subscribers? There's over, I think, over 27,000 YouTube channels that have over 1 million subscribers. And those who have over 1 million subscribers might be doing financially well, but not millionaires. You know, they might clear $100,000 to $200,000 a year in YouTube revenue. Maybe. David Dobrik was only making $2,000 or $3,000 a month with YouTube, but he was making $100,000, $200,000 a month or every couple of months from his sponsors. It's a credit card company, SeatGeek. Yeah. Jake Paul makes money promoting his boxing matches and his records and his merch on his YouTube channel, but he doesn't make the money from YouTube. He's not getting a check from Google. He's getting a check for selling boxing tickets and getting $10 million for a boxing match that he used YouTube to promote, or to sell his record, or to sell his hats. And he'll sell $1 million worth of hats using YouTube as a way to promote them. But his check from YouTube is probably $2,000, $3,000. Yeah. So the people that are making the most amount of money are doing it from outside sponsorships. I'm sure Mark Rober is probably a millionaire. Yeah, there's plenty of them, but you'll see all these folks have big sponsors behind them. Lisa Koshy has Disney behind her. So once that happens, you're golden, you know, as long as you don't leave any terrible tweets. Mats Olof Rickardson, watching us in Sweden, contributes 100 Swedish krona. Hello, he says. Excuse me, today I just listened to the sound. It also works sometimes. You're a professional. I'm looking for a photo in my archive. Only 63,000 photos. And he says, hello, everyone. Well, that's what tagging is for. Linus has 15 million. Linus, I think Linus Media Group is worth $80 to $100 million. He's got 100 employees. Each of those employees probably pulls in maybe $40,000 to $60,000 a year on average, I would guess. And most of Linus's money is coming from sponsorships. The amount of finances that Linus actually makes from Google paying him a check is probably, I mean, if it's $10,000 a month, I'd be surprised. It might be. But that's not enough to even pay the salary for one employee. So, well, I suppose if it's a month, you could probably pay the salaries of 4 or 5 employees maybe. But he's got 100 employees, so he needs to make way more than what Google's paying him. So that's why he's got deals with Asus and all these other big companies to make commercials for their products. He's a media group. He's not a tech. He's not a tech company. He's a media company. That's why it's called Linus Media Group. It's not called Linus Tech Group. He's in the position of making media for money. That's what his job is. Just so we're clear, and he's very honest about that. Linus Media Group. They make commercials. That's what they do. All right. I'm not saying he only makes commercials, but the stuff he makes is paid for by the commercials he makes. All right. That's a business model. That's what he wants to do. It's not what I want to do. All the power to him. He's got a lot more money and success than I do. I'm not willing to sell my soul like that. But hey, to each their own. The minute I start calling myself a media company, yeah, you know I've given up. Daco says, Carrie, you'll be a millionaire one day, a YouTube millionaire. Yeah, I'll be dead for 10 years on the ground, and suddenly people go, hey, this guy's videos are great. This computer he built back in the 2000s is worth a lot of money today. I feel like Picasso. I don't think so. No, and I'm okay. That's fine. I'm rich in other ways. I'm rich with friends. I'm rich in my own independence and freedom. And I call that success. Diesel Doctor says, Carrie or chat, I bought a Dell computer from Walmart. It's refurbished. It won't connect to the internet. It says it's missing a driver. Does anyone have a fix for this? Well, I've said it once and I'll say it again. If you buy a new piece of equipment that doesn't work, I am absolutely opposed to fixing it or telling people how to fix it. It violates every principle of business I stand on. Return it and get a refund, or exchange it for one that works. You should not have to fix anything that you've purchased new, and especially from a company as big as Walmart. Return it or tell them to fix it at their time and expense. You should not have to fix anything new, and if you do, return it. Vote with your dollars. Don't let them get away with it. Don't make that okay by fixing it yourself. It's not okay. It's not the proper way to run a business, and you as a consumer should not tolerate it. Ben says, you made a lot of content over the years. Have you got a favorite video? They're all my favorites. Jason says, I don't understand why you don't have 1 million subscribers already. Yeah, the fact I have more than 10 really is quite miraculous. So I can't complain. And again, I don't necessarily want 1 million, because along with that comes scrutiny and harassment. And if you told me I could have 1 million in exchange for the scrutiny and harassment, I'd say, you know what? You keep the 1 million. I'm good without that scrutiny and harassment. We're exactly where we need to be right now. And where that is tomorrow is where it's supposed to be. It's all good. Lord Terry of Franklin says you can't have too many friends unless they want to borrow your pickup truck. That's why I don't own a pickup truck. John says, Carrie, only one fan with the Scythe Mugen, no push-pull. No, because it's a waste of time. Again, people getting poisoned with information online that has no real impact on the real world. If you are interested in buying those really fast running shoes, it doesn't make you a faster runner. Putting another fan on here isn't going to make this computer run any faster. Whether or not it runs a couple degrees cooler doesn't matter. It won't have any impact at all. The computer will still run within its operational temperature range. And unless you are to overclock it, then that's a complete waste of time and money, and an obsession that is, in my opinion, unhealthy to have. Adding another piece of hardware with more expense, using more power, that's one more piece that could fail, that offers you no benefit whatsoever than some emotional state of mind. I'm sorry, I can't participate in that line of logic. It doesn't work for me. It's not reasonable, practical, or pragmatic. You're just doing something because you've seen other people do it. If you have a real practical reason why you would do that, because you're running hot temperatures, that's likely because you're overclocking. And as a result of overclocking, this probably isn't the best cooler for you to begin with. So, you know, you're going to need to spend 2 to 3 times the amount of money, maybe 4 times the amount of money to properly cool an overclocked CPU of this caliber. Adding another fan isn't going to make much of a difference either. So, but if it makes you feel good, don't let me get in your way. You can add as many fans as you want to. Don't bother me none. But I'm not building this computer for you. Just so you know, this is not yours. Okay, let me go back to Windows Update, and let's see, full screen. I think in my entire career, I built maybe a dozen computers that had 2 fans on the cooler. And I built about 30,000 computers that have 1 fan on the cooler. I wonder what that means. Draw from that. Oh, it's a mystery. We'll never know. Oops. All right, back over here to Windows Update. So that's part of my struggle and what I do here on my YouTube channel, is to try to provide real content to real people with real problems and real solutions, not this imaginary stuff you see these enthusiasts doing. And they have every right to do it, and it's great entertainment, but it's really not practical. And the problem is it leads the viewers to think that that's necessary. I got to have those running shoes. Why? I want the best running shoes. Are you a runner? Well, that's not the point. I want the best running shoes. Why? Because I saw a famous runner use these shoes. So you think if you wear those shoes, you're going to run that fast too? Okay, I'll sell you the shoes. The world's becoming a strange place. Bob R says, Carrie has many fans. Yeah. Is that temp where you are accurate? You mean the temp in Phoenix? I don't know. What do you see? You know something I don't. Spencer's, Carrie, I've been looking for the streaming computer build. Any words to search? I don't know, because there's about 8 or 10 different streaming computer builds on the channel, from the original Ready to the 1700 AMD Ryzen that was upgraded to a 2700 that was upgraded. I mean, that's 4 videos right there, to a 3600, to the NCase M1, to the miniature streaming build that I did on the Nook i9 Extreme, to the streaming build here that I did on my birthday build. So you're going to have to be way more specific for me to be able to help you. It's not like I only did one streaming build. It's been 15 years. Help me help you. I promise you, I'm not withholding information. I just don't understand what you're looking for. Paul says 101 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that true? I don't know. Let's see what my phone says. Where's my screen? There it is. Kinda true. Surprised it's that cool outside. Usually this time of year we're 107, 110. So 100's actually pretty nice for this time of year. Robert says, I would like to buy this board. Can we email? Yeah, you send me an email. I ask people, don't talk to me about this stuff publicly when it comes to any sort of transaction. Yes, I encourage you to email me with any business inquiries. Yes, please. My email address is my name, Carrie@carrieholzman.com. That's how you can reach me. Be more than happy to talk with you for sure. Daco says, I am scared of global warming. Well, the planet cools down, the planet heats up. We've had an ice age. It's done this numerous times. We've had a couple of extinction events since this planet was formed. We'll probably have more. I don't think it's done. And I don't think we're going to be around to live through it. But at some point, some humans will be around probably to experience it, but it won't be us. Paul 1961 says it's 24 degrees Celsius in Winnipeg. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I was listening to that comedian Rocky Laporte. That guy is so funny. He's like, I'm driving in Canada and everything's kilometers. This cop pulls me over and he says, you Americans, you're the only country that won't get on board with the metric system. And then while he was talking, there was something on the news about a plane crash. 100 people died. And he goes, yeah, we'll see if that plane crashed in America. It would have only been 62 people that died. You see, 100 kilometers an hour is 62 miles an hour. Yeah, that's pretty funny. You get the joke. Ben wants to know, did you ever use the Nuka-Cola as a streamer? No, but that's a good point. That's another streamer build. That sits unfinished. I mean, it works. I just never cable managed it. And I never put the side panels back on. So that sits at Studio A. I think it's got a towel over it to keep it from getting dusty, but it's all brand new. Yeah. I mean, that case is special to me, though. So it's not really about the function so much as it's about the form. And a lot of this stuff will have its day. It's just not its day yet. Just like this cooler. It's been sitting around for a while, and today was its day. I knew a day would come for it. I ordered it when it was on sale because it was a return product. They don't show up that often. I think it was $40. I said, I can't beat that. Ordered it, opened it, made sure it was in usable condition. Put it on the shelf and said, that's going to come in handy someday. Did not know that that day was going to be today. And so I suspect the same will be for the Nuka-Cola. Its day is yet to come. Paul says it's 75.2 degrees Fahrenheit in Winnipeg. Oh, that sounds nice. Count me in. Go full screen over here. Oh, still doing this. What are my optional updates here? So yeah, the goal for me is to get rid of a lot of this equipment so I can use that money, so I can buy more equipment, so I can make more videos, so that I could be back in the same situation to try and get rid of the equipment. And this is my life now. Well, not entirely, but a lot of it. Once the videos are made, if there's no reason to go back to the equipment, then it's sitting here as a depreciating lump of money that I could be using to buy something to make more content. I'm not getting rich off of it. I'm not taking the money and going to buy a Tesla. I'd like to, but I can't afford it. So this is where we're at. Just recycling it back around as many times as I can. And each time I lose money every time. So when somebody sends something like this, as long as they don't mind, you know, unless they intended this to go to a specific recipient, ideally the profit that could come from it will go into the channel. We can reuse that money over at Amazon, likely. Continue with networking and storage and motherboards, mini PCs, full PCs. Yeah, who knows what else we'll get ourselves into. Some guy over 40 says you need to do an online sale. No, because I don't want to deal with having to pack, ship, worry about tracking, worry about somebody not getting their package, worry about something not working, not knowing if it broke in shipping or they themselves broke it, not dealing with people calling me 6 months later because they want to know why something's not working. No, absolutely not. I'm not doing it. I need like an anonymous person on Craigslist to sell my stuff so nobody knows it comes from me. And it's, once you buy it, it's yours. The deal is done. Just like any other Craigslist or garage sale purchase or Facebook Marketplace. But I'm not going to go through the trouble of taking 10 or 15 emails in with people asking me stupid questions. Hey, does that computer come with a free monitor? 144 hertz, 4K? No, it doesn't. I'll give you $10 for it. Just wasting my time. And then you got to meet them somewhere, you know, and hope you don't get robbed or shot. They just found a lady's body burned in a dumpster who left to go get something off of somebody at Facebook Marketplace. Just like yesterday in the news. There's videos on YouTube of a guy going to sell his iPhone at OfferUp, and they meet in a public place in the middle of the afternoon. They pull a gun on him. It's all caught on video. Middle of the afternoon. Not worth it to me. I don't have the time. I don't have the patience. Cash deal, done. We're done. Support just kills me, man. Absolutely kills me. So if a customer buys a system from me, I stand behind it, right? There's support there. They want to upgrade it or they want to buy another system. I want them coming back. But with stuff like this, it's just got to be a cash and carry deal. Just like any other garage sale or swap meet. It's yours now. have a nice life. And I don't want to deal with packaging. I don't want to deal with shipping. I don't deal with broken packages, lost packages. No, I've already got a package from Minis Forum that DHL they've lost it. So Minis Forum says, hey, did you get the computer? I said, no, I haven't got the computer. They said, we'll reach out to the carrier. So they reach out to DHL, and DHL says, we can't help you. You gotta tell the person the package was going to reach out to the carrier. So they tell me, you need to reach out to DHL. So I reach out to DHL and I go, where's my package? And they said, we don't know. What's it look like? How heavy is it? I didn't ship it. I don't know what it looks like. Is it in a box? Is it in an envelope? I have no idea. Why don't you ask the people who sent it? This must be very embarrassing for you. Never had FedEx or UPS or United States Post Office call me and ask me what my package looked like. It looks like a package, and it's got my name and address on the front of it. We'll have to do a search of the warehouse and get back to you. Maybe look up the last person who touched it in your system and fire them. Just me. I'm a strict boss. So, am I going to get my Minis Forum PC from DHL? I don't know. Apparently, I have to tell them what the package looks like, how heavy it is. How embarrassing for them. Apparently, shipping and delivering packages is a little something they do on the side from their main business, which is, that is their main business. I think they'd have that down. It's kind of the important part of the business is you take the package and then you deliver the package. That's the whole job. What do I know? Must be more to it than that. Will my descendants benefit from your YouTube videos when you have passed? Well, when I started YouTube up, I thought that was the case. But if you don't publish any video for a few months on your channel, YouTube demonetizes you. They'll send you a warning and they'll say, hey, if you don't publish something in the next couple of weeks, we're demonetizing your channel. What that means is they're still going to put ads on your channel, but they're no longer sharing the revenue with you. So I have a quick tips channel here on YouTube. It's got over 7,000 subscribers and it was making $50 a month, $25 a month. And my sister was uploading to it and she's moved on to other things and I haven't been paying attention to it. And I got the email from YouTube that said, you haven't uploaded anything in a few months, so we're going to demonetize your channel unless you upload something. I was like, I should just take anything and upload it. Doesn't even matter what it is. And then I forgot. And then monetization was turned off. And I said, hey, I've uploaded something. Give me my monetization back. And they said, you need to requalify for it again. So you need over 1,000 subscribers. Check. I've already got that. I'm at 7,000. And you need 4,000 hours of watch time. 4,000 hours of watch time. I've got hours and thousands of hours. No. Starting now, never mind what you've already done. Starting now, you need to accumulate in the next 365 days, 4,000 hours of watch time, and then you can reapply for monetization and, maybe we'll approve you. So these videos on quick tips are all under 10 minutes long. Do you know how long it takes to build 4,000 minutes of watch time? So I can make $20, $30 a month, maybe at most $50 a month on that channel. It's quite discouraging. So no, unfortunately, and that should be illegal, and I hope somebody sues them. It should be like a royalty that is forever. As long as YouTube's monetizing, they should be forced by law to share that revenue with the estate of the creator, no differently than music or books or movies or TV. And I think it's a matter of time before that lawsuit happens. That YouTube's got a lot of nerve, in my opinion, pull monetization away from a living creator, but still put ads on. The ads are still the same. They haven't changed. The only thing that's changed is YouTube won't share the revenue with me anymore. But because it's so little of an amount of money, I care, but I don't care that much. That sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. Jason wants to know if I received his Amazon gift card. Let's take a look and see. Yes, Jason H says, I love these unscheduled live streams. Due to my work schedule, I don't get to join live on Mondays and Fridays. You and your chat room are the best IT team on the internet. And he submits a $25 Amazon gift card. Right on. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. It's so nice when people offer me things instead of people always asking me for stuff. Hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? And I don't mind. I don't mind doing things for people, especially when people have done things for me. But when people just keep taking and it's never enough and they want more and they don't return anything, then I'd rather, I don't mind that they take, but I do mind is that they want more and they won't offer anything in exchange. That's really, really frustrating to me. And I have a hard time dealing with, I don't know if they're not thinking, but when people do this, when they reach out like with the Amazon gift card and they're not asking for anything, they're just saying, hey, thank you. It means a lot to me for that very reason. Because I do have many people that, hey, you did this for me and you did that for me. Now can you do this for me? And in all of that, none of that was anything about what they did for me. And I'm not saying you got to do anything for me, but if you're going to ask something of me, maybe offer something. If you want to hire me, if you want me to work for you, whatever that thing is you want me to do, what's in it for me? So when the opposite happens, when somebody says, I'm going to give you something and I'm not asking for anything, wow, that's so cool. Thank you. Are we ready for a restart? Yeah, it looks like we are. Thank you, Paul. Got to keep me in line, keep me focused. Zero Infinity says you should put all those videos on private. If you can't benefit from them, then they shouldn't either. Or better yet, you should remove all those videos and then re-upload them. Yeah, but then I'm still starting at zero again either way. The worst thing is I would lose the 7,000 subscribers, right? So then we'd starting at 0 subscribers again. And some of the content, it's outdated. It's not useful anymore. Tips for Windows 7 aren't that useful for people. So it's not like those videos will ever suddenly become viral or, be in demand. So I've thought about it, right? I've thought about, well, if I can't have it, nobody can. But that's not why I started YouTube. I didn't start YouTube to generate a revenue. I started YouTube to help people. And it takes money to help more people, right? So like the Red Cross, they go through a lot of money. The food bank here in Phoenix goes through a lot of money to help more people. It might have just started as a charitable organization where they gave away the extra they had. Then they said, hey, we should figure out a way that we could give out more and help more people. So we have to figure out how we're going to pay for that. But at the end of the day, it's easy to get lost in why you got started. And if you end up, I don't know, for me personally, I did find myself caught up in chasing the money and I was miserable. I was so unhappy. Nothing was good enough. I was just constantly being robbed where I felt that my content wasn't being appreciated. I put a lot of effort into it and I really thought this was going to bring in the big money and it didn't. And I was angry and I was frustrated and I wondered, why am I even doing this? And then it occurred to me, you've lost your way, man. You're there chasing money. That wasn't why you started this. So it may be that I'm trying to grow too fast. I want to grow faster. I have a lot of ambition and the money is what's stopping me from growing as fast as I want to grow. And that's frustrating for me because I have plans, but my plans, they have to be rationed according to what is affordable and what it's not a limit to what I can do. I've not reached that limit yet. It's not like I've run out of ideas. I can make a live video every day, 7 days a week, probably for a couple of years before I would run out of any ideas. And as things keep getting introduced and changed, it's just more and more content every day. So I'm not worried about that. The problem is paying for it all and having the right studio space to do it in, where I have a good internet connection, I don't get interrupted, it's quiet. You know, all that costs money. And then being able to devote that much time to it, meaning that all the groceries and the rent, the electric bill, the internet bill, and the cameras and all the other equipment, it all has to get paid for somehow. And geez, if I could get a camera operator, that would be even better. And that's going to have to be somebody that gets paid. And if somebody could edit these videos and just take out 3 or 4 minutes of little bits here and there out of these live streams. But, you know, we tried that too. And those videos ended up being the Quick Tips channel. And you saw what happened with that. And the amount of time that has to go in to find those little tidbits and to cut them and edit them and title them and thumbnail them and put a video description in and upload them and keywords and tags. That's a lot of work to make $25 a month. It's just not worth it. But at least in the market the way it is today, my balance is to continue working as a technician to help my customers, as I always have. And if that job should dry up for any reason, I have YouTube. But if YouTube should dry up for any reason, I have my business, right? Ideally, they won't both dry up at the same time. And barring that, it would be a complete career change into other opportunities that I could pursue. So there's no shortage of what I could do. It's really about what I want to do. So I'm doing what I can with what I have available, but I want to do more. But I'm going to have to be patient, bide my time, and then hopefully before I die, I will achieve it. And it might only achieve it for a week, and then I'll have a heart attack or something, or die of old age. So long as I get there. But it sure would be nice if I could get there and be able to hang out for a while. I was at the grocery store a while back, and this little old lady was buying a lottery ticket in front of us. And the cashier said, "Hey, maybe it's going to be your lucky day, you know?" And she goes, "Oh, I sure hope so." And this lady had to be in her 70s or 80s, you know? And you know me, I have to go to that dark place. I'm like, wouldn't it just figure? He's like, what? I go, here you are in the golden era of your life with, you know, most of your life behind you. And now you win the lottery after all the struggling you did in your 20s and your 30s to raise your family and to go to work and get a house. And now in your twilight years, now you're a millionaire, just so you're, so now what? So you can have a couple of good years and then all of your, the rest is inheritance for all of your relatives. Wouldn't that just figure? Wouldn't that just be the way life would work? Is now in your twilight years, now is when you don't have to struggle. Now you can take all those trips and go all those places now that you can't travel and you're not as mobile. Yeah, I probably should have just kept my mouth shut. Couldn't help myself. I'm like, yeah, that'd figure. You probably will win. That cracking me up. Wouldn't that just be the case? Thanks. Could have used this 50 years ago. Who gets the royalties from the Beatles songs when McCartney snuffs it? I don't think McCartney gets money from the Beatles songs, not from the writing credits. He sold the writing credits. Michael Jackson bought them. Michael Jackson actually outbid Paul McCartney for the rights to the music. So as a musician, you get paid based on what your role in the band is. So if you're a musician in the band, you get paid a certain amount. If you're a singer, you get paid a certain amount. And if you're a songwriter, I think you get paid the most. So if you're a singer and a songwriter, you're making good money. So like Don Felder of the Eagles makes a lot of money from Hotel California, even though Don doesn't sing it and Don doesn't play it. He had to sue to get it, but he got it. But Paul McCartney, I think, gets paid as a musician for the Beatles, but the stuff he wrote, he doesn't own. It's my understanding anyway. At least the stuff he wrote with John for the Beatles. Like what he did on his own is a different thing altogether. Gary says you might want to check the device manager just to see if it's got all the drivers. Good tip there, Gary. Let's check that out. Right click on the start menu, device manager. What do we have going on in here? Everything looks happy, Gary. Everything looks happy. I can run Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer. We've got our utilities flash drive here. We'll throw VLC on there. Everything looks happy, my friend. Even the Wi-Fi. There we go. See, oh, we've got a SanDisk, a Samsung NVMe drive, so we can load the NVMe driver and the Magician software, which I also have on this drive. In fact, we'll just drag it out onto the desktop here. Come on. And then Uncle Carrie's, we're going to drag that out on the desktop as well. 10 optimizer. Continue. Close. We'll run the NVMe driver first. And then that's going to want to reboot when we're done with it. There it goes. And then when it reboots, we'll load Samsung Magician and then Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer. Pretty good to go, apart from a case and a power supply or any other changes, if and when it gets sold. I'm sure it's not a question of if, but when could be days, weeks, months, who knows. And the longer it sits, the more it depreciates, the less desirable it is and the less value it has. That's the downside about this business. True of a car as well, right? If a dealership has a car that's last year's model that's been sitting on the lot, it's worth less now. So they're going to have to discount it to get rid of it. Why would you want to buy last year's model when you could get this year's model for the same price? So what choice do they have but to discount it? Can't say that holds true for diamonds and other industry, but no. This is the industry I decided to be in. I only have myself to blame. If this NVMe drive has a firmware update. No, everything looks happy. How much life has this drive got used on it? 1.9 terabyte. Oh, that's like brand new. Okay, good. And then Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer. Last thing here. And apply. Peter says, wow, you have more subscribers than last time I watched. Yeah, but again, I don't get paid based on subscribers. That doesn't get me any more money. I mean, it might be a number that looks impressive, but it doesn't change anything. Subscriber numbers help when you're trying to sell sponsorships to potential sponsors, You sell your subscribers. That's what a content creator does. They sell you. They say, hey, you need to pay me X amount of money because I have this many eyeballs that watch my videos. So if you want your video to be seen by this many eyeballs, you have to pay me this much money. And that's how content creators can kind of get an idea of what they're worth if you want to go into the business of making commercials for companies. Otherwise, subscribers really don't mean anything as far as money or views. Like if you look at the number of views my videos get in a week, it's less than 1% of the number of subscribers I have. That means more than 99% of my subscribers don't watch my videos. So what good is that? I'm only paid based on how many watched minutes I have. That's it. No other measure of payment, at least from YouTube. If you guys use my Amazon link to buy things from Amazon, I make a small commission from Amazon. If you buy a Windows or Office key from VIP CDK deals and use my coupon code, you save money and I make a small commission. If you were to buy RoboForum and use my coupon, or use my link rather, you save money and I make a commission. But if you don't buy anything from my links, I don't make a commission. So it's kind of a pay for performance. And I think that's fair. I think it's a good deal for me. I wouldn't want a company to give me $10,000 so I can give them $2,000 worth of sale. That wouldn't make much sense. So by doing a commission-based, pay for play kind of a thing, I'm very comfortable with that. But it's very variable in regards to income level. Income level can be great because a bunch of people could buy stuff and then all of a sudden it drops off. Hold on just a second. Hey, I think it's the router. This looks like a router. It's weird. There's no name or address on this box. Where were they sending it? How did they know? Oh, it's over here. Okay. Let me, I don't have any room. Let me bring this over here and open it up. This should be brand new Wi-Fi 7 router. That is a big box. More content. Ooh, it's heavy. Let's see. Here it is. Wi-Fi 7, first one I've ever seen. So more content. More content. I really wanted to get it from Amazon so I could return it if I didn't like it. And I know you can return stuff to Best Buy, but really don't want to have to go through that. So hope I like it. All right. What else was there to check on this? Anything else we want to check? Let me get rid of camera 1 here for a second. And we'll go full screen over here. Let's see. Edge. Start with data, continue without data. Check this box, confirm and start browsing. This is Z390 Aorus Master. Let's see what the latest BIOS is. F11 from November 29th of 2021. Yeah, that's what's on there. No new BIOS update. So we've looked. Shut this down. Everything looks happy. And we'll go over to camera 1 and we can wrap things up for today. We're right at around, what, 2.5 hours today? That's a good time, I think. If I like to keep it between 2 and 3 hours, and we're at 2.5. It's me right where I want to be. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Thank you for your contributions and your support and listening to my, sharing with you my challenges here of trying to make more content and where my struggles are. And I'm not asking for anybody to fix it for me. I'm just wanting you to know, you know, part of it that you wouldn't even know about if I didn't tell you about it, right? People often don't think about stuff like that. What goes into making the videos or what deals get made with sponsorships. And you end up watching a 30-minute infomercial that's manipulated to look like it's a review. I don't play those games here. If it's a review and the company has sent me the product, I'll let you know the company sent me the product, but there's no contract signed. There's no commitment from me. If I don't do the review, there's nothing the company can do about it. If my review is negative, too bad. If I buy the product myself, I can make whatever review I want, whenever I want, and say whatever the hell I want. And I don't care if the company likes it or not. It's not what I want to do. I don't want to sit here and just put down companies. On the other hand, if I do have suggestions for improvement, I don't like those being spit on by the company as an insult, when in fact they should be saying thank you. You know, the companies pay consultants thousands of dollars for information I'm giving them for free. If they choose to dismiss it and see as what I'm doing is a bad thing, then they're a horrible company, right? When a company thinks by sending products to reviewers, they're getting commercials, that's a horrible company. Oh, you can fill in the blanks there when you've heard about what's been going on with some companies' marketing divisions with regards to getting reviewers to change the review or considering reviews as part of marketing. Yeah, that is not what a review is, any more than a movie review is part of marketing. You know what I mean? So I don't know where they got this twisted logic from, but there's too many content creators that play along with it to cash a check. And you wouldn't know that because they don't tell you. They don't tell you about the check they got or the contract they signed. I'm not getting those checks and I'm not signing any contracts. So what you see is what you get here. And that also means because I'm not playing ball, I got to do it all myself. I don't have a team of people that are all looking for me to succeed, because when I succeed, they succeed. So if I'm out here touting how great a product is, so you guys go out and buy it, that's good for the company. It's good for the employees. They want to keep eating. They want to keep selling. They're going to keep feeding me so that I can keep getting you to buy their stuff. And that's how the happy wheel goes around. So I can be rich and successful, and they can be rich and successful, and you can be broken in debt with a bunch of crap that sucks because you listened to what some person on YouTube told you. There's enough of that. That is fully saturated. More are added every day. I will not be a part of that. And if it means I make less content because that's what I can afford to do, I want you to understand why. And if you're a part of that, if you contribute to that in any way, I appreciate you, because you're just fueling my fire here with regards to what I can do. If there was a clever way that I can come up with to get rich from being honest and doing it this way, I would have it made, but I haven't figured that one out yet. If you have an idea, you let me know. I've been trying to crack this nut for a long time. But the important thing is that we have this community, which is worth way more than any check. The fact that you're part of the community and you participate and you hang out, we're friends, We have this virtual sort of hangout. It's very, very cool, and I'd much prefer that over any check. And I want you to know that. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thanks again to all of the contributions that came in. Let me give a shout out again to these generous folks here, such as Mats Olav Rickardson, watching us in Sweden. Mark Gaines, who watches us in Northern Ireland. Right? I think that's right. Thank you to our members, all of our members that have the badges, such as Josiah Guernsey, who's now been a member for 10 months. That rocks. Thank you, Josiah. Thank you to Barnsey Breaker, who watches us in Norway. Charles Vandola for your super chat. Thank you to Buster, our good friend Peter Laycock in Scotland, for his super chat. Thomas Tidwell, Arthur Dickens, Dr. Bill, Planet Cryos, Perugian Kalustian, DJ Big Red. Thanks, you guys, for supporting the channel. And also for the Amazon gift cards that came in. And that is Jason H. and Raj D. And for the very generous support from Rob Foster, watching us in the UK. And yeah, there's a last one there, super chat, $5 from Paul M. All of these contributions make this content possible. So when you see these people in the chat, please thank them. I will see you all again very, very soon. And until next time, bye for now.